If there's one thing we've learned in recent hip-hop history, it's that when Kendrick Lamar decides to set his sights on someone, he doesn't just go in, he goes all in. His clashes with Drake stand as some of the most talked-about moments in modern rap. It's not just about two artists competing for the top spot, it's about deep-seated grudges, subtle shots, and very public moments that keep fans glued to their screens. Yet, amid all the drama, no one expected a legend from an entirely different sports world, Serena Williams, to waltz into the feud and spark a controversy of her own. Rumors of a Drake-versus-Kendrick rivalry have swirled for years, with both rappers taking sly jabs in lyrics and interviews. But nothing set the internet on fire quite like Kendrick's explosive performance at the Super Bowl. When he brought out Serena Williams, a figure Drake had dated and publicly praised for years, the tension skyrocketed. Some saw it as a bold statement from Kendrick, a declaration that he'd stop at nothing to outshine Drake. Others saw it as Serena's personal clapback against a man who'd taken far too many liberties talking about her after their split. Either way, the incident left fans convinced this wasn't just a simple rap beef anymore, it was war. In this video, we're going deep into every twist and turn. We'll explore how this feud began, the petty moves on both sides, the bigger story behind Serena's appearance, and why this drama keeps escalating. Buckle up, you're about to discover why Drake and Kendrick can't seem to quit their public sparring, and how a tennis icon found herself in the middle of it all. Long before stadium performances and Grammy-winning diss tracks, Drake and Kendrick appeared to have a healthy respect for one another. They crossed paths on various projects, guest verses, shared festival lineups, backstage meetups that gave the impression of camaraderie. Hip-hop fans generally viewed them as two pillars of the new generation, pushing rap into fresh territory. But cracks began to form. Observers noticed subtle digs in interviews. Kendrick would hint that certain chart-topping rappers wrote catchy hooks but didn't speak deep truths, while Drake occasionally responded with cryptic tweets suggesting he was the only one dominating the charts and critics' lists simultaneously. Things worsened around the time Kendrick dropped his now legendary verse on the Control track, where he name-checked nearly every major rapper, including Drake, proclaiming he wanted to outdo them. Drake shrugged it off publicly but was said to be less amused behind the scenes. As both artists gained more fame, they became prime targets for comparison. Media outlets pitted them against each other. Who's the best lyricist? Who has the most hits? Who rules the streaming era? This constant rivalry hype got to Drake, known for his emotional openness in both lyrics and interviews. Meanwhile, Kendrick, famed for his storytelling and social commentary, seemed largely unbothered, at least on the surface. For a while, these tensions simmered just below boiling point, fueling fan debates and clickbait headlines. Neither artist released an outright diss track, but they each sprinkled suspiciously pointed bars into their albums, prompting the internet to ask, was that line about the other guy? Then, slowly, the tension brewed into something more substantial, setting the stage for what would become a showdown no one could ignore. But those early warning signs were nothing compared to what came next, when Kendrick decided to go fully on the offensive. When Kendrick Lamar put out Not Like Us, the buzz in the hip-hop community was immediate. Was he actually calling out Drake by name, or were fans just reading too much between the lines? Then, critics started dissecting every lyric, noting clever references to fake emotions and someone who soared on streaming stats but lacked something deeper. As the track shot up the charts, rumors intensified. Was this the official birth of a real feud? Next thing everyone knew, Kendrick had snagged not one, not two, but 5 Grammys, including major rap categories. Social media exploded with the narrative that Kendrick had won big for a track that essentially torched Drake's persona. While Kendrick never publicly confirmed the track was 100% about Drake, the wink-wink from fans, and even some industry insiders, said it all. The humiliating subtext for Drake? His competitor had taken home awards for dissing him. To make matters worse, shortly after the Grammys, rumors surfaced that Not Like Us would be performed at the upcoming Super Bowl halftime show. Drake's fans hoped it wouldn't happen. But lo and behold, Kendrick took the stage in front of millions, performed the track in all its glory, and made sure everyone knew it wasn't just a random performance. The message was clear: if Drake wanted to come for Kendrick, he'd better be prepared for the entire world to witness his downfall. But it wasn't just about winning awards or hitting the biggest stages. Kendrick had a special guest up his sleeve, someone from Drake's past, who would elevate the spectacle from standard rap feud to legendary pettiness. If there's one stage bigger than the Grammys, it's the Super Bowl halftime show. Millions of viewers worldwide, all eyes glued to every moment. So when Kendrick appeared under those massive lights, spitting bars that many believed were aimed directly at Drake, everyone paid attention. Yet, the real shocker came partway through the performance. Serena Williams stepped out, dancing in sync with the music. In that split second, fans realized there was more to this cameo than meets the eye. Serena was no average backup dancer. She's an internationally known tennis icon, one of the greatest athletes of all time, and also one of Drake's exes. Her presence looked like a direct jab at Drake, an unspoken "remember me" hammered home by Kendrick's biting lyrics. The internet went ballistic. Within minutes, social platforms erupted with comments, memes, and analysis. People began speculating. Had Kendrick orchestrated the cameo as a finishing blow to Drake's pride? The track's name was hammered into everyone's mind as Serena matched her dance to the beat. For many, it felt like she was throwing her full support behind Kendrick's side of the feud, especially considering the rocky history between her and Drake. Suddenly, what might have been a standard display of showmanship turned into a cultural moment. This was a pointed display of loyalty, or, at the very least, a willingness to publicly mock an ex. And the fact that the Super Bowl typically doesn't pay its halftime performers only added fuel to the speculation that Serena did it for personal satisfaction rather than a paycheck. Of course, Drake saw everything, and it didn't take long for him to reveal his feelings about this bold move. His reaction was classic Drake, emotional, confrontational, and full of cryptic digs. You'd think with all his fame and fortune, Drake might let a Super Bowl cameo slide. After all, feuds come and go in the music industry. But Drake, known for wearing his heart on his sleeve, and occasionally in his lyrics, couldn't hide his frustration. At a show in Melbourne soon after the Super Bowl, he switched up some of the lines in one of his tracks, morphing them into a freestyle that pointedly declared, "Beef is live. Spoiler alert, I never D." The crowd caught on instantly, roaring in response. Online, fans speculated that this was Drake's official decree. The war with Kendrick was back on, and Serena's involvement had only poured gasoline on an already smoldering conflict. Some found it exhilarating, two top-tier rappers openly battling it out, taking big swings on massive stages. Others questioned why Drake always got so deeply personal, especially when an ex was involved. Drake's pettiness with exes is well documented. He's been known to mention former flames in songs, interviews, and even random social media posts. But this particular meltdown felt bigger. It was as if Drake had reached a boiling point, realizing that even the sports world was now picking sides. The stance wasn't subtle. Serena, a globally admired icon, had aligned with Kendrick, or at least that's how everyone interpreted it. Still, Drake has a knack for turning drama into chart success. Instead of shying away, he channeled the negativity into hype for potential new tracks. Fans began watching his public appearances more closely, dissecting every lyric for references to Serena or Kendrick. The tension, far from dying down, escalated with every cryptic hint. Because if there's one thing Drake is good at, it's leveraging his heartbreak and resentment into songs that race up the Billboard charts. But this wasn't just about a sour reaction to public humiliation. Drake has a history of going after women who reject him. And to understand Serena's role in all this, we need to look at how Drake has handled his relationships in the past. When it comes to love and heartbreak, Drake has made an entire career out of soul-bearing lyrics and interview confessions. Listeners often connect with his raw emotional honesty, but critics argue he occasionally takes it too far, especially when it comes to exes who've moved on. Rihanna is the prime example. Fans spent years shipping ABRIH, yet the relationship never solidified publicly. Rihanna kept her distance. In response, Drake delivered an onslaught of mentions, subliminal lines, and not-so-subtle social media references. Even after Rihanna had clearly moved on with A$AP Rocky, Drake still inserted sly remarks in interviews and tracks, reminding the world he hadn't let go. Then there was Halle Berry, the iconic actress Drake openly admired. He praised her on social media and used her image in questionable ways. The cringiest moment came when he used a throwback photo of Halle getting slimed at a Nickelodeon event for the cover art of his track, "Slime You Out," even after she reportedly told him not to. That move came across as intrusive, raising eyebrows about Drake's boundaries and willingness to respect people's wishes, especially when he's in creative mode. These patterns reveal a complex side of Drake. He merges real-life romantic feelings with his public persona, and the lines often blur. If you break his heart or simply brush him off, he's liable to weave you into his music in ways you might never expect or approve of. While some fans see it as raw vulnerability, others label it obsessive and manipulative. So when Serena Williams started dancing to Kendrick Lamar's track, one that might as well be labeled the official Drake diss national anthem, people remembered Drake's volatile past. Their question was simple: would Drake handle this with maturity or revert to his old pattern of lashing out? Well, we got our answer soon enough, and it wasn't exactly a lesson in letting bygones be bygones. But how did Drake and Serena even reach this point? To understand her not-so-subtle jab at him on one of the world's biggest stages, we need a closer look at their history. Long before Serena became an unexpected cameo in Kendrick's performance, she was a key figure in Drake's life. Whispers of them dating began as early as 2010. Paparazzi snapped photos of the two dining together, hugging, or exchanging flirtatious glances. Yet, much like Drake's relationship with Rihanna, the duo never publicly confirmed anything substantial. Serena maintained her poise, preferring to focus on tennis championships rather than Hollywood gossip. Drake, on the other hand, dropped hints in songs and interviews that he was absolutely smitten. Then came the turning point. Serena found genuine happiness with tech entrepreneur Alexis Ohanian, co-founder of Reddit. They married, had children, and built a life that seemed peaceful and fulfilling, a stark contrast to the flashy music industry scene. Instead of celebrating her happiness, Drake took the shift personally. He fell back into his pattern of petty remarks and cryptic lyrics, referencing Serena in ways that implied she hadn't just moved on, she had somehow betrayed him. Over time, fans noticed that Serena rarely, if ever, acknowledged Drake publicly. She navigated the media glare by sticking to her personal brand of class and understatement. But behind the scenes, it likely didn't sit well with her that Drake wouldn't let things rest. He never missed a chance to drop a sly insult toward Alexis or aim a mocking line at Serena's new life. All this boiled over when Drake posted a massive 100-gigabyte stash of unreleased content online. Buried in the trove was footage of him casually discussing the real inspiration behind Too Good, a duet with Rihanna from the Views era. The big reveal? The song was actually about Serena. Confiding in his mom, Drake admitted he'd carefully crafted the track so Serena wouldn't hate him upon hearing it. That behind-the-scenes confession validated what fans had suspected. He was still fixated on her, even though she'd long since moved on. Serena never retaliated publicly until that Super Bowl cameo with Kendrick. And as we've all witnessed, she made her point loud and clear without needing to say a single word. Right around the time tensions with Kendrick heated up, Drake decided to drop a bomb on his fans, a mysterious link to 100 gigs of never-before-seen or unreleased content. It included tracks with big names like Young Thug, Lotto, and 21 Savage. There were also glimpses into Drake's creative process, raw studio footage from major albums like Take Care, Fuse, and Certified Lover Boy. Fans quickly realized this wasn't just a random act of generosity. Insiders speculated that the data dump was a strategic distraction. Drake might have been hoping that everyone would focus on the treasure trove of leaks rather than the swirling drama with Kendrick. After all, controlling the narrative is a big part of Drake's brand. He's adept at steering conversations, whether through social media, surprise releases, or sentimental interviews. However, the plan backfired. While the 100 gigabytes leak did generate a ton of excitement among die-hard fans, it didn't overshadow Kendrick's momentum, especially after that notorious Super Bowl show. People were still captivated by the feud. Memes of Serena dancing to Not Like Us flooded Twitter, overshadowing the details of Drake's data dump. Even within that massive leak, the biggest talking point ended up being Drake's conversation with his mom about Serena. Instead of fans focusing on the unreleased collaborations or the creative behind-the-scenes clips, they zeroed in on the personal drama. Was he still pining for Serena? Had he orchestrated this leak to spin the narrative in his favor, only for it to blow up in his face? By trying to overshadow the Kendrick feud, Drake inadvertently gave fans even more ammo to analyze and criticize his personal motivations. Rather than cooling down the hype, the data dump turned into fodder for speculation, a sign that Drake was desperate to shift the conversation away from his very public humiliation. Of course, the internet and social media being what they are, fans didn't let anything slide. Soon, the commentary and memes about Kendrick, Drake, and Serena took over timelines everywhere. You can't have a rap feud in the digital age without the relentless commentary of fans from Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and beyond. The second Serena appeared on stage with Kendrick, social media lit up like a neon billboard. One user joked, "Kendrick bringing out Serena is the most savage thing I've ever seen. Drake must be crying in a corner somewhere." Another said, "Serena just claimed her rightful place as the queen of petty." And the memes? They were savage. Photoshopped images of Drake looking heartbroken next to triumphant pictures of Kendrick and Serena went viral within hours. It didn't end there. When Drake responded in Melbourne by altering his lyrics, fans scrambled to record the moment on their phones, posting half-garbled concert clips that racked up millions of views. The conversation then pivoted to whether Drake's new bar, Beef is Live, spoiler alert, I never D, was a direct challenge. Some argued it was a straightforward threat, while others believed it was just showmanship for the crowd. Meanwhile, Kendrick remained relatively silent, letting the moment speak for itself. That silence only drove more speculation. Was he cooking up another track? Was Serena's cameo just the first phase of some bigger plan to humiliate Drake? People combed through social media accounts, looking for clues, a like on a cryptic tweet, a mysterious Instagram story, anything that might signal what was next. In the midst of all this, Serena resumed her life, appearing at events with her husband, Alexis Ohanian, and taking care of her children. Her Super Bowl cameo became a moment of empowerment for many. Fans celebrated her for taking control of a narrative that Drake had tried to own for years. If one overarching opinion emerged, it was this: Drake messed with the wrong woman. Despite all the hype and chaos, a key question still lingers: where does this feud go from here? Will Drake strike back even harder, or has Kendrick already secured a decisive win? In the aftermath of the Super Bowl spectacle, the ball appears to be in Drake's court. He's clearly not one to let things go easily. His discography is littered with references to past slights, from relationships to rivalries. Whether he's planning to release a dedicated diss track aimed at Kendrick, or an entire album dissecting every line of "Not Like Us" remains to be seen. For now, Drake's more subtle barbs and concert line switch-ups might be precursors to something bigger. Kendrick, for his part, has settled comfortably into the role of silent victor. He doesn't need to rub salt in the wound. Bringing out Serena at the Super Bowl was bold enough to dominate the conversation for weeks. And historically, Kendrick's best moves often come unannounced: a surprise album drop, a powerful music video, or a single line that upends the status quo. It's likely he'll keep fans guessing until he's ready to strike again. Serena, too, remains a wild card. Will she continue to make cameo appearances that troll Drake? Probably not. Her presence at the Super Bowl seemed like a singular statement, one that combined her personal feelings with her star power. Having said that, Serena has never been one to remain silent when she feels strongly about something. If Drake escalates the feud, she might well step in once more, either publicly or through another star-studded collaboration. The public is split between those who want to see this feud die down and those who love the spectacle. Some argue that Drake and Kendrick's time would be better spent crafting innovative music rather than sniping at each other. Others claim that rap feuds are integral to hip-hop culture, pushing artists to excel lyrically and creatively. Whichever side you're on, one thing is certain: the drama is far from over. Every new performance, leaked snippet, or cryptic tweet adds fresh fuel to the fire. All of this brings us to our final reflection: how much further can this go, and at what cost? If there's a takeaway from this entire saga, it's that no feud is ever truly dead until the main players decide it is. Kendrick Lamar has demonstrated he's more than capable of hitting Drake where it hurts, on stage, in lyrics, and through public spectacles. Drake, in turn, has made a career out of channeling heartbreak and rivalries into chart-topping hits. Their battle isn't just about record sales or Grammy Awards. It's about pride, personal histories, and a determination to prove who stands on top of the rap world. Serena Williams' cameo took this feud beyond hip-hop's usual boundaries. She's a legend in tennis, known for her power and finesse on the court. Seeing her align with Kendrick, if only for one show-stopping performance, was a game-changer. It showed that Drake's personal relationships could become public currency in a feud he never fully controlled. And it hinted that once scorned, even the classiest individual might be willing to step into the ring. So where do we go from here? Will Drake drop a new diss track that directly addresses Serena's Super Bowl appearance? Will Kendrick remain silent, confident in his one-upmanship, or strike again with another savage move? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: fans will be waiting, dissecting, and commenting on every verse, every performance, and every subtle power play. The stakes are high and the drama is addictive. What do you think? Is Kendrick justified in calling out Drake this intensely and bringing Serena along for the ride? Or has the feud gone too far, risking overshadowing both artists' undeniable talent with pure pettiness? Let us know your take in the comments below. Because if this feud keeps going at its current pace, we might be looking at one of the most legendary showdowns in hip-hop and pop culture history.